The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Second down and 5. K-State sends a man in motion. That's Lockett. Here's a running play. K-State with a big run here. 50, 40, 35. Giddens to near the 30-yard line near side. Beautifully done for Kansas State. From the 37-yard line, he takes it all the way down. And K-State's pushed out there by Jacob Stevenson. Big-time run by the Wildcats.
32 yards on the play. Good for a Wildcat. I left everybody hanging on Saturday. So we had to get one in. You heard 16, not all 17 on Saturday. Had a couple of technical difficulties upstairs. Listen, it was our first game back as well, upstairs. So it was as well for the Cats on the field, and welcome to the game, Mitch Fortner and AJ Shaw. Troy will be hopefully joining us a little bit later as he's got an appointment before he's able to join us. So Troy, maybe an hour or two, will be able to meet up with us here in a few moments. But going to have a very, of course, heavy K-State show. We didn't have a Wildcat Insider yesterday, so I want to take a lot of those things and bring them into today as well, which includes a bunch of players that spoke to the media after the game Saturday. We're going to hear from Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, Desmond Purnell, and Toby Osunsanmi throughout this show. A couple of them coming up in hour number 2. We'll have some players as well later on in this hour. Plus, Meet the Wildcats with VJ Payne. And, of course, we cannot have a Tuesday show without some Jabroni of the week. But, no, there was that one moment in the first half that I announced the ball carrier was DJ Giddens, and then I see all the hands doing the thing. And no announcement. I was like, oh, this is awkward. I actually did it in the booth. I did the whole thing, did the whole gimmick, and then nobody went first down. It's like, what the hell? What just happened? No, I just got accidentally turned off. Mike got shut off, missed 2 plays, but then luckily got turned back on. Braden Lofton scores the first touchdown of the season for K-State. Did not have that on my bingo card. And Cats on Saturday, a 41-6 victory over the UT Martin Skyhawks. AJ, were you able to attend in person the game?
I was not, but I did watch the entire game on ESPN Plus. I can tell your voice a little. You're still recovering a little bit, right?
Well, it was just it was a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave it at that. But yes, well, I did a K-State the football game Saturday, and then Sunday the next day. Less than I'm trying to think of when it started. It was like 16 hours later. I did a ESPN Plus K-State soccer matchup, and I got really revved up for that second half.
I completely forgot that you did that. I'm kind of mad at myself now. I missed that. I wanted to see old Mitch in the suit.
Well, luckily it is archived ESPN Plus. You can go watch it after the fact.
Fun game?
Yeah, I mean, second half was.
Yeah.
You could clearly tell the first half K-State was the better team.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, all right, now we're going to start getting these goals in the back of the net. And, yeah, boom, 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 here they come. 3 straight for the Cats. They win 3-0. Underclassmen once again just showing off the depth that K-State soccer has this year, which first couple of matches out of the gate, maybe the first 3, wasn't quite sure about it. And now they've won 3 of their last 4 matches. They've blown out their last 2 opponents. So good news on the K-State soccer front. Let's see if they can keep that rolling, see if they can get a 3rd straight victory. But let's talk K-State football. 41-6, the final score. First time us being on air, getting to share some thoughts. Let's lead off with what's on everybody's minds, and that's about the offense. And I don't follow social media. I don't really even look at it after the game. I'm not on my phone at all during the game. But I could easily tell people are a little antsy to see the offense do what it was advertised to do. I, along with AJ and Troy and a whole bunch of other K-State media, we've told you a lot of really good things about what this offense should be this season, and you probably didn't see everything you wanted to see in game number 1, to simply put it. And I want to go ahead and jump right now to some Chris Klieman audio. He spoke to the media after the game, and he himself was not pleased about the first half of offense from his Wildcats.
Just didn't get into a rhythm. Didn't think we had a lot of energy and juice. Challenged the guys at halftime because I thought we were better than that. And then we responded and played really well in the second half.
They absolutely did. Absolutely was better in the second half. But the first half, you punt, you go 3 and out, which already people are like, what the heck? That's not what's supposed to happen. This team is supposed to go score touchdowns on each drive in the first half. Touchdown in the second drive, interception on the third. They punt on the fourth, and then the final drive of the first half, second quarter, well, they kick a field goal. And there were, on the interception and on the field goal, those were promising drives that just kind of stalled out, and then the interception. Let's start there. Let's start on the interception. What I had seen from Avery previous to that interception was him maybe a couple of things. It could be either one. Maybe I'm wrong on both thoughts, but I saw it as the answer of one of two answers. One, he was maybe a little gun shy of slinging it down the field, or he just wasn't seeing the open receivers. And just by the way he was starting to sling it a little bit, the decision-making, I know Avery had said before that he's a very confident guy. He doesn't really get nervous. It's just not who he is. Well, at the end of the day, he's human, just like the rest of us. And he knows he has high expectations on his shoulders. There's pressure. He knows he's expected to do certain things to make the K-State offense very profitable, a scoring offense, an offense that moves down the field that's electric and has athleticism. Maybe some nerves did weigh in. He wanted to impress right away and just kind of overdid it, overthought it. And then on the interception, I just didn't think the pass was there. It's an incredibly tight window, but you definitely didn't want to zoom it in there because the linebacker had a beat on it. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm sure he went back and looked at some tablets because they have him on the field now and spoke with some coaches and saw that very same route on previous plays wide open. He did miss some wide open receivers on multiple occasions. And I think after the interception, then maybe even got a little bit more gun shy, was a little bit too ready to go to the check down. Go find a DJ or a Dylan or whoever would be that check down guy and just get the ball out of his hands and let's see what he can do. What can he do with the football? There were a couple of times should have not gone to the check down because it just wasn't really there. Wasn't going to pick up a first down. Then he started to get the wheels turning a little bit. A couple of run plays. That opened it up. He passed downfield to Jace Brown. We saw a different, maybe more calmed down Avery in the second half. And a part of me feels that the interception was actually helpful. Calm down. Settle down. One play at a time, buddy. We got a long season ahead. No, the offense never did really blow the doors off of our expectations or even quite meet expectations. There's a lot built up on this offense. And quite honestly, I was a little underwhelmed by the wide receiver play. We've mentioned so many names, and I know there's a lot of mouths to feed, but I was just a little surprised. And I'm not pointing in directions of okay, this person has to absolutely do this better. It's not necessarily that. I was just a little surprised that just wasn't involved more, I guess. Garrett Oakley did not have a catch. Keegan Johnson had one catch for 6 yards, and we're still waiting for Keegan to break out, and that did not happen game one. Dante Cephas didn't have a catch, and it's another player who had 1,000 yards in a previous season that just really wasn't a pass-catching factor. I think, Avery, if you take away the passing yards to his running backs in DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards, try and do some quick math, 128 passing yards to the wide receivers. So, no, it wasn't just an Avery thing. The accuracy, the timing, the decision-making. Look, after one game, I have no concerns, especially from what I've seen from the depth in the defense. K-State's got some running backs, don't they?
No question about that.
They're stat.
Yeah.
At that position. And I know once you got to the fourth quarter and here comes, the starters off the field, here come the other players that we just haven't seen yet or maybe had their name called yet. Sterling Lockett was playing quite a bit in that first half. It just the ball wasn't going his way.
Yeah.
But he still played. No, there's a lot of talent on this team. But we said it last week. This offense is going to have some growing pains. I'm glad it happened in a game like this against UT Martin, and it didn't last a whole game. You saw them still had some hiccups in the second half, but finished a few drives, put some points on the board. No, it wasn't a meeting of expectations type of performance, and there's stuff to work on. But this is not even close. We're nowhere close to like it's a panic button. Oh, maybe this just isn't what this is supposed to be. It's not going to add up to what the talent says on paper. No, there's plenty of talent. Growing pains are going to happen, especially with you have some of the young pieces to this offense that you're expecting to be pretty big deals. I think there's one thing for certain. There's no doubt. I think Avery's favorite target is Jace Brown, and I think Jace Brown is K-State's best talent to go get open on a big play. I've seen enough now from Jace that he's got that it factor to him. So that's my takes on the offense, and I totally understand where Coach Klieman is coming from. But obviously now you're heading to Tulane. There's a lot of factors, but you're going on the road. I know I think there's quite a few tickets still available for this game. I'm not expecting Yeoman Stadium to be packed or anything. I hope K-State doesn't feel like they're going into this game with now more pressure on their shoulders. Heck, I think there's more on Tulane, especially with a redshirt freshman quarterback who's played just one game, and now here comes a really tough defense coming in. But I just hope the offense has settled down. They're really able to use the mistakes in the first half and then the improvements in the second half to settle down. They know what they need to work on, and things will be cleaner. Things will be more routine. Things will seem like, they've been practicing together for a number of weeks and months now, and it's going to show more consistency against Tulane in it is a big game on Saturday.
So my biggest takeaway from the game was just how good this defense is. That's a damn good defense. Toby Usansami is legit. That's a legit defensive end right there. That's pretty darn good. DJ Giddens did not disappoint. Another 100-yard rushing game for him, 124 yards on 13 carries. Joe Jackson, second leading ball carrier, Mitch, 7 carries for 48 yards. Dylan, 5 carries for 43 yards. I made the comment to a friend of mine, and I said, if you can just get Dylan Edwards, and I think it was mentioned on this show, get Dylan Edwards in the slot, kind of like what K-State did with Deuce Vaughn when he was a freshman back in 2020. If you can get Dylan Edwards in space, look out, other team. But I think you make a good point. There's a lot of pieces on this offense. You have a lot of mouths to feed. And outside of Jace Brown, who was the second leading receiver on Saturday? Braden Lofton. I mean, I don't think most people, generic K-State fans, I shouldn't say generic, typical K-State fans, unless you really follow the roster, had no clue who Braden Lofton was. First career catch goes for a touchdown. Trey Spivey was the third leading receiver, 2 catches for 26 yards. And then Andre Davis had a catch. Keegan Johnson had a catch. DJ had 3 catches. So DJ was actually second leading reception leader.
In number of receptions, not yardage.
Yeah, in yardage, Braden Lofton was second. But, again, there's a lot of mouths to feed on this team. The Avery-Jace Brown connection is very compelling. It's like the Will Howard-Ben Sinnott connection, in my opinion. Will Howard loved to throw to Ben Sinnott, particularly in the red zone. With Avery Johnson, Jace Brown is his go-to guy. I was disappointed Keegan Johnson did not get more action out there on the field on Saturday. I figured he was going to come out and have a pretty good game, but he only comes away with 1 catch. And we're still waiting, as you mentioned. When is Keegan Johnson going to break out? You really hope it's sometime soon.
Another thing I want to touch on real quick, and I agree with really everything you just said there. Haven't touched on special teams, and I was hoping – I think I maybe called it out on the show. If not, it was on PowerCat Game Day that I predicted that K-State would have a special teams touchdown. I think I mentioned, kickoff return maybe or punt return or something like that. No, it ends up being a blocked punt. Ty Bowman, let's not forget, he blocked a punt. I think it was against West Virginia.
Correct.
And that was returned for a touchdown. So this is the second blocked punt in Ty Bowman's career that was returned for a touchdown. So shout to Ty Bowman with that big play. When it comes to Dylan Edwards in both just running the football, catching the football, returning kicks, which he returned a punt that maybe should have been fair caught, and he decided to return it anyway, and it was a pretty entertaining return that he made. See if I can find that real quick on the stat sheet here. I think it was for 10 yards. Look, you're just barely getting to know Dylan after that first game. You just got a taste of what he can do, and I promise you that. He's going to be even more electric as the season continues. Heck, you may see, depending on what happens with the wide receivers, does the roles of DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards grow bigger? I hope that's not the reason why. But you're barely seeing what they have to offer. I was thrown a bit of a curveball because I announced on a punt return that it was Keegan Johnson back for a punt. Well, turns out it was Jacob Parrish. I wasn't expecting that because of the depth chart. And I saw it was the number 10 out there. I was like, well, we kind of had to guess. Well, I just assumed it was Keegan Johnson. They put Jacob Parrish back there. Unfortunately, it was Jace, right, that fumbled the kickoff return. Mm-hmm. Listen, if that doesn't happen, there's a couple of things. I think, one, if you don't go 3 and out and you at least get a field goal on the first drive, you're probably feeling better about the offense. I also think the turnover on the kickoff also kind of set in our minds that was a setback for the offense as well. Well, no, it just coughed up a fumble, some bad luck there. Even I think Jace kind of ran into his own guy in that play. Mm-hmm. It's things that can be fixed pretty quickly. It really is. Special teams was one thing. I think for the most part now you're going to see Sterling Lockett back there because even though it was just one return, showed a little bit of promise there. And also, no doubt about it, Dylan Edwards.
Yes.
Dylan Edwards is going to be a man back there that you're going to see all season long. And maybe some Colby McAllister. That was pretty interesting as well to see him back there on a punt return. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, I promise you we're going to hear from some players. Let's hear from, let's go Dylan Edwards and a guy we haven't even talked about yet, who is maybe my favorite player of the entire game on Saturday, Desmond Purnell. A couple of Kansas kids who spoke to the media on Saturday. You're going to hear from them both when we come back on The Game.
You're locked into The Game on News Radio KMAN.
And we are back. Mitch Fortner, Troy Coverdale, AJ Shaw. Troy joining us now for the first time. How's the old back doing?
Let's just say that I, much like the players, needed treatment today. After game 1.
Well, I feel like we all kind of – now we're back into season. We have a game to talk about. Yes. I feel like now we're kind of in mid-season form because of we finally have a game to talk about.
Right.
Just talk about some X's and O's, some yardage, some people.
We not talking about practice. We not talking about practice.
No,
we talking about the game.
Well, I was kind of talking a little bit about practice earlier, but a little bit. Very little. Very little.
Couldn't hurt to, reference Allen Iverson here for a moment. Because we're not talking about practice.
Well, since this is your, AJ and I just talked a lot about the offense, a little bit about the defense. But I give you the floor for a moment if you just want to get something off your chest.
Well, I did actually kind of chuckle at the opening drive of the night when Klieman elected to not go for it and people started booing on 4th down. I mean, guys, it's game 1 of the season. Let's temper ourselves a little bit. Let's not
come on, you're holding Avery back. You would have got that.
Unbelievable. There are times that you're like, wait a minute, did I just hear? And I did the double take. I had to listen closer, and I'm like, yeah, they were booing. In general, it really felt like a typical opener, very low key. That didn't show us a lot in terms of what this offense is going to look like as the year goes on. It was very vanilla because it was an opener. I think the thing that stood out to me the most was on the defensive side of the ball and how quickly they started rotating guys in. On the defensive side of the ball, there was no hesitation to start bringing guys in already 2-3 plays into the ball game. They started that rotation early and really utilized their depth. in a way that I don't know that we've seen K-State do in a number of years. I think that we learned right there that this is as deep a defense as we've had in the Klieman era.
I think that was on display big time. And it wasn't just the depth on defense, the depth on offense as well. And I'll definitely dig into more of that. I want to talk about just the depth of this team and what I saw coming up at 5'10". Now, probably a couple of things we do want to mention about that. Linebackers, Austin Moore didn't play as much as he would have. It looked like he was banged up. They take him out for the second half as a precaution. Asa Newsom did not dress for this game.
Correct.
Now, hashtag my boy once again. I have concerns about his health now that he didn't play this first game. He didn't dress, so I hope this is not a long-term thing. But, you never know. We'll see. But you're right. They did rotate quite a bit. I mean, heck, I look at the final numbers here, and 24 different players had solo tackles. This is a very solo tackle heavy game, and they did not miss very often.
No.
This was a very good, clean, no penalties defensive performance. And it was led by Desmond Purnell. I said before the season, I think Desmond Purnell is a first-team All-Big 12 linebacker. I asked the question to Coach Stannard. He's like, Mitch, I respect you more than anybody in this K-State media. You're absolutely right. He just has to get some sacks. Maybe some more plays in the backfield. Maybe not the exact quote, but it was something in that neighborhood.
in that area.
And he still finishes with 7 tackles. 6 of them were solo. And he had 2 tackles for loss in the game. No sacks. I mean, I felt like the defense did everything but force turnovers.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment of it right there. You're absolutely right. They put pressure where pressure needed to be made. They took advantage of what was there in terms of opportunities to make sure that they limited the passing game. Coverage was on point defensively through the course of the night. You didn't see, other than the one play that ended with a field goal at the end of the drive that got downfield against them.
Oh, and that pass rush, boy. You want to talk about the pressure they got on the court? I mean, the best play of the night for UT Martin was when K-State should have had a sack. Dent keeps himself under control, gets out of the pocket, throws a pass to the southeast corner of the stadium, and I thought the receiver made a great adjustment to go get to that ball.
And that's exactly the play I'm talking about, is the only one of the night that stands out to you as being a play that you felt like the coverage could have been a bit better. But that's also a play that you tip your cap to both ends of it, because it had to be a big play on the part of the quarterback as well as on the part of the receiver to even pull that one off, because K-State had defended so well through the night.
And that pass rush to the defense was just so good throughout the night. I had to keep a drool cup around. I was just, yes. It was so good.
One of our cohorts commented early on in the game that we may not see Dent leaving without leaving on a cart, given how the pressure was up front.
I mean, he got nailed a couple of times.
Brutal.
Well, and one that is going to fly under the radar, but Jordan Riley speared him. It was after a short gain. He ran with the football. I think he picked up 5 or 6 yards. Then Jordan Riley out of nowhere just boom.
Yeah.
Just lays him out with the most form of form tackles.
Yeah. There was one where I almost wondered if they were going to take an extra look on the sideline at him, because I felt that Dent's head had hit the turf a little hard. And that seemed to happen a few times, actually.
We'll bounce back to the offense in just a moment, but first let's hear from K-State Sam linebacker Desmond Purnell after the game with the media.
I'm just going to be honest. You've come so far as a linebacker. Do you just feel like you're now just playing?
Yeah. Yeah, it feels just natural at this point. But yeah, it's all credit to the coaches and then my surrounding teammates, from Deuce Green to Austin Moore to Nick Allen. Like, those guys, before me, teaching me the ropes and everything.
How did you feel the linebackers flowed side to side tonight?
I felt like they did great. It didn't matter who was in the game. I felt like everybody had great communication with each other.
How good can this defense be?
Really good. You already know how last year went. One of the top teams in the nation. But yeah, I feel like we can be top 5 in every category, and that's what we strive to be every day.
What do you think you guys did best tonight?
Definitely stopping the run. We know that coming in, that's what they wanted to do, but that's what they wanted to initiate. So us just, getting on their side of the line of scrimmage and making them, go 3 and out, and then having to punt the ball so we can give it back to our offense.
Holding the team under 100 yards passing, I mean, linebacker, secondary, you guys got to take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Coach Klieman preaches that because once you stop the run, you only make them one-dimensional. So that's what we just focused on doing, and then the guys behind me did a great job stopping them.
How important were the guys up front, not only stopping the run, but getting to the quarterback as well?
Oh, yeah, Toby, phenomenal. Everybody in the D-line, they were just attacking him. He was more worried about, trying to escape them rather than trying to get the ball to his receivers.
Coach Klieman called you one of the better leaders on the team earlier this week, but said you might do it in a little bit more of a confrontational way.
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Just getting after guys, not trying to be soft on them or anything, but everybody on the team knows that it's out of love. It's not out of, trying to get at them personally or anything, so.
Once again, that's Desmond Purnell. Going back to a previous comment he made, he felt like the defense, what they did best was stop the run. The numbers say that for sure. Of course, you account of, the quarterback will lose rushing yards when he gets sacked. We got sacked 4 times in the game. There was 11 tackles for loss in this game as well. But for UT Martin on the day, they finished with 36 rushing yards on 38 carries. You do some quick math, that's under a yard per carry. And then if it wasn't for Dent staying alive, he throws the ball downfield. The wide receiver makes a great adjustment and makes a play on the sideline. You take away that 45-yard catch, and Dent in the passing game for UT Martin is probably held to under 50 yards in that game. So you take away the one big play, and this was an absolute crushing, fundamentally sound, dominant performance by the K-State defense all around. It was a complete team effort with the solo tackles. The communication does seem like it was sound because everybody knew what they were doing on every play. There was always a safety coming around on a play on the outside. You set the edge, and here comes somebody that makes the tackle. It was just fundamentally sound.
One of the things that I wondered offensively, but it seems like that the defense handled it just fine, and that was the use of helmet communication. I wondered how much of that played a role in getting the offense started, that maybe there was a little bit of adjustment that needed to be made in terms of when conversations were going on or what was being relayed in to the quarterback. But defensively, it looked like that they handled the communication, even dependent on whether or not they were getting a call from the sideline, seemed to handle it just fine without that need for a lot of adjustment on that part.
Before I played the Dylan Edwards audio, what were your first thoughts of seeing him in person play a game?
Was surprised that we didn't see him run more, especially in the first half of the ball game. Really some opportunities maybe where he could have, but you're also talking about a sophomore quarterback making just his second start. And I think that in some ways we have to remember that defenses are going to be giving him different looks than what he may have seen, or different looks that are varied from what he was seeing on tape and what the coaches had seen on tape. There's going to be some growing pains there. There's going to be some things where he's going to improve with experience. And I think that first half showed a little bit of that inexperience in some ways.
Yeah, it was. If I could give this, I think this is a very accurate comparison. It was like when Deuce Vaughn made his debut against Arkansas State back in 2000. Like, the numbers weren't off the charts or anything. Well, when he got the ball, he oohed and awed you a little bit.
Right.
And showed you a taste of his talent.
Right.
And Dylan touched the ball officially with the receptions and rushes 7 times. And if I do some quick math here real quick, finished with 63 yards, both combined, rushing and receiving. And by the way, scored twice. A rushing and a receiving touchdown. This was from after the game as well. The media speaking with Dylan Edwards.
I think your speed and explosiveness sort of helps this offense to I guess, get going at times.
It's a great feeling knowing that I bring, speed to this offense. But we have a lot of guys that's some speed guys as well. You've seen Jace out there today doing his thing. And it's also DJ. He's a 22 guy, too. So we got a lot of speed, and Avery as well. So I think we're just collectively a great offense.
When you talk about the improvement with True, like how much are you up weight-wise from where you're at when you got here right now?
Last year, I'm not going to tell you what weight, but I can tell you I'm up 15 pounds.
Okay.
And it's good weight. It's not bad weight at all, so I'm just happy about it.
you and Avery growing up together. What was it like to be back out there with him?
It was great. It was a great feeling. It felt like we were back at the Bears. So it was just cool seeing my friend right next to me, throwing me the ball, and being the general he is as a quarterback.
Do you think it was important for your offense with young players, new pieces altogether, to kind of have to struggle through that first half together and get things figured out?
Yeah, we're just trying to fill ourselves out, just trying to see what this offense was really about. And we definitely felt like in the second half we showed Kansas State what we were about. So
what do you feel like you learned anything about yourselves as an offense, finally getting to play against another opponent?
I think we definitely did. There's some stuff we need to work on as a team, but we'll get it all figured out before next week.
What play tonight was the best example of your skill?
I think the play that showed that I've developed as a player is when the corner cat came and I saw it. And I picked up a block, and that's when Avery threw a deep ball to Jace. And, he got up and, showed, puffed his chest out a little bit on that deep ball. So I feel like me blocking definitely, showed that I'm a better player than last year.
Your touchdown catch from Avery, to feel like you're back in the U football days?
Yeah, it definitely was different. I mean, he told me, hey, don't forget our handshake when we get in the end zone, and I didn't, which was good.
How old is that handshake?
We've been having the same handshake for since I was in like 4th, 5th grade.
Avery and Osunsami and you, what's it like having so much Wichita area talent out on the field?
It's definitely different. We all played on the same 7-on-7 team as well, the Wichita Wheat with Coach Nook. So it was definitely great to see him do his thing out there and get a sack.
Dylan, you're all smiles. Does it feel good to be home?
It does feel good. I'm very blessed to be here, and I just can't wait to get more wins here at Kansas State and help my teammates out.
How'd you feel about the O-line? Obviously, Cooper Beebe's gone. You never got to run behind him, but a couple of new faces starting there. How did you feel they blocked ahead of you?
Well, Hadley, Panzer, and TP, it starts off with them, and then, Kilty just came in. He's doing his thing, and he's a quiet guy, but when I go up to him and just chill with him, he talks to me. So he's a great guy for me to be behind.
And lastly, for me, you guys have a big game next weekend in New Orleans. Game just ended, but is there anything off the top of your head that you guys might have learned that can be applied to next week's game?
Just to not think too head in the game, to play by play, and it'll all work itself out.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
Did you go into this with any jitters?
Just a little bit, just to know that it was my first game here at Kansas State, but I'm happy to be here. After the first play, all the jitters went away.
Once again, that's K-State running back Dylan Edwards with the media after the game. Total offensive yardage, K-State outgained UT Martin in this game, 449 to 134. By the way, as I said on a previous show, that I feel like K-State can break the all-time record for rushing yards per carry in a season. That record's 5.2 and change. The yards per carry against UT Martin was 9.1. Who led in that department? Avery Johnson, 12.3 yards per carry. Helps when you don't get sacked. Offensive line, by the way. Good job on Saturday. That showed some depth as well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it is Tuesday. We crown a new Jabroni of the Week. When we come back, you're listening to The Game.
Your home for K-State sports.
Thompson at the goal line. He's in again. 4th rushing touchdown of the game for Skylar Thompson.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You jabronis hit the jackpot.
That Hollywood blonde jabroni, Hulk Hogan.
Ow. Is this jabroni's name?
Jabroni of the Week.
All right, here we go. As you can imagine, week 1 of college football will produce a couple of jabronis here and there. So let's get right down to it. 3 dishonorable mentions. I will culminate with my Jabroni of the Week here in just a few moments. We're staying in all college football for all these jabrones.
Okay, woo. Another week that I am not on the list.
No,
All
you're
right,
not on the
good.
list.
All right.
Dishonorable mention number 1. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and what a snooze fest of a game. There weren't really any good games.
No.
In week 1. It was just kind of a lot of blowouts. I mean, West Virginia didn't keep up with Penn State.
About the only one would have been the Notre Dame A&M game.
Yeah, and that was just so low scoring. It's like,
right.
ugh.
Right.
The SC game was okay.
Yeah, the SC game was okay, other than the fact that SC won. I mean, just in general.
I think it was the only one they called that one.
Yeah, probably. I'm not talking about it on that aspect. I'm just talking about it in general. Neither one of those is exactly someone that I wanted to see win. So
well, anyway, Minnesota hosted North Carolina. Both teams aren't really expected to be any good. I mean, it really was. It was just a rock fight, classic Big Ten fashion rock fight. Both teams had they combined for less than 500 yards. Teams are just terrible on third down. They punted a ton. Anyway, North Carolina took the lead with 1:48 to go on a 45-yarder. Then here comes the Golden Gophers, which apparently is supposed to have the best kicker in the nation. Misses a 47-yarder, wide right. Somebody who was running the pyro there in Minnesota did not get the memo because they set off all the fireworks.
Right.
So that was for a game winning. That was in the last seconds of the game, and they miss it. But the Golden Gophers got their budget through with the pyro. They got it all spent up, so no money is taken from the next game. They need all of it for their next home game. Next dishonorable mention, I'm going to give it to Florida. The Florida Gators. Definitely called this one.
Woof.
I have Miami in my college football playoff, and man, they did not disappoint. Like, Miami football might be fun again because Cam Ward and the Hurricanes, along with head coach Mario Cristobal, just thumped Florida. And Florida's got a tough schedule this year, maybe the hardest in college football. I don't know if they're supposed to be any good. Is Florida this year?
No.
But man, Miami all over the Gators, 41-17 in the swamp.
Did you see Mario Cristobal's mocking of the Gator?
That's half of my dishonorable mention, because yes, Mario Cristobal at the end of the game was emphatically Gator chomping the folks in the swamp at the end of the game. That was part of it. The other part of it was when the team was leaving the field, here comes all the Miami players going to the players, like the high school kids that are there visiting for that game. Don't go to Florida. Come to Miami. There were staffers for Florida you get out of here. Shoot, try to shoo people away.
Oh, man.
Go to the locker room. Don't talk to our recruits. Go to the locker room.
The funny thing is the lamenting by the Florida fans on Twitter. Why did we fire Dan Mullen? Why did we fire Dan Mullen? Well, yeah.
Why did we fire Will Muschamp? Why did we fire Will Muschamp?
Exactly, that too.
All right, my last dishonorable mention, I'm going to give it to Florida State. Actually, it's kind of a two-parter. I'm gonna make this a two-parter because this is also going to roll into my Jabroni of the Week.
Okay.
So, Florida.
Gotta love the fact that all the dishonorable mentions here, at least two of them are Florida-based.
Well, I mean, Miami is now the best team in Florida.
Oof.
When's the last time we were able to say that?
1988.
I mean, I was thinking at least 2004.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I forgot about the early aughts.
The Larry era.
But anyway, so Florida State, they played 2 games in week 1 as a top 10 team. I tried searching around. I was like, when is the last team that was in the top 10, ranked for both games, lost to unranked opponents? I couldn't find anything on that. Nobody tweeted anything out about, when's the last time that happened. I would imagine it's been a minute. But Florida State loses to Georgia Tech in Dublin. They come back. Boston College is probably not supposed to be that good, maybe a best of 500 team. And they that offense just doesn't have it. DJ Uiagalelei and that offensive line, they cannot run the football. DJ's out throwing wide open receivers in the end zone. They're chanting for another quarterback in the second quarter. For the second time in 7 years, the Florida State Seminoles enter a season in the top 10 and start 0-2. Maybe we should start talking about them as and heck, this is coming off a year where they finished the regular season and the ACC championship 13-0, but Travis Hunter gets hurt, so they don't get to go to the college football playoff.
One of the top jokes online that was being made after last night's game.
Or Jordan Travis, not Travis Hunter. Jordan Travis.
Thank you. But one of the best jokes, the ACC wants to pay them 7 figures to get them out of the conference.
It wasn't a good weekend for the teams in the programs suing the ACC.
No, and it wasn't a good weekend for the upper caliber SEC matchups.
But here's the jabroni of the week. This bounces off of the Florida State Seminoles because there was a fan that went on social media, his own Twitter account, and said that he was so confident that the Seminoles would beat Boston College, and I think, gosh, was Florida State like a 16.5-point favorite?
They were.
Going into that game?
Yeah.
That if they were to lose, he would eat dog poop out of a Solo cup with a spoon if Florida State did not walk away with that win.
Red Solo cup.
Well, since Florida State lost that game, now this guy at the handle, and he's on Twitter, he reactivated his account, by the way. He, at one point, deactivated it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got even more heat for that. At 321 Knowles is this guy's handle. He's my jabroni of the week. He's getting called out by the media, by Scott Van Pelt, by all ACC and college football fans. What, so you going to do this thing or not? Well, he deactivates it. Obviously, he's not going to do it. But then he gets back on there. He says, stop adding me. I'm not going to do it. You said you were. At 321 Knowles, you are my jabroni of the week.
Pay up!
All right, that's going to wrap up hour number 1 of the show. When we come back to K-State football, back to the depth that was on display on Saturday. I saw from all over the field. Avery Johnson, Toby Osensami, they're coming up next. The Game, K-Man.